What's up guys, Reese here from reese3d.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a very simple poster in Photoshop. So this is the poster that we're going to create. And if you take a closer look, we have some basic shapes, we have some text information, and we have a picture which is being put inside a circular mask or circular shape. Perfect. So we're going to keep this document as it is, just here, and we'll create a new document and start working from scratch. So I'll go to File, choose New, so we get this new window, okay? And if you have an older version of Photoshop, your new document window might look slightly different, but it's gonna have almost all the same options that I have here. So I'm gonna go to Print as a preset, and I can pick A4 here. Now it actually shows us all the settings for the A4 preset. We're going to leave the width and height as it is and the orientation as it is, but the resolution I'm going to reduce a bit. Now if you're going to use this poster for printing purposes, make sure that you have 300 here, and make sure that you change your color mode to CMYK. I'm going to design this to be used for web, meaning that in Instagram page or Facebook or any other social media. Right? So for that, I'm going to keep it at RGB, and I'll keep the resolution roughly from 72 to 150, anywhere between them. So I'm going to choose 100 here as my resolution, or even 72 should be fine. Now keeping the resolution low will actually help us to make the work much faster, meaning that there will be less number of pixels to deal with, so Photoshop can work much faster. And also, if you have an image that is fairly low resolution, it would still look good in this. At the same time, if you have 300 as your resolution, then you would need to find high resolution images, because actually it's going to go for printing, so it should look good. Fine, so let's go ahead and click on Create here, and that actually brings us the blank document. So I'm going to keep both of them side by side. All right. So now let's start creating this from scratch. So if you take a closer look, you will notice that this blue color, or the dark blue color, is actually the background color. So let's fill in the background color first. Okay, so I can either use my background layer, or I can create a new layer as well. So in my case, I'm going to just double click on this, and you will get this new layer window, and hit OK. So that's going to unlock that background layer so that we can make modifications to this. So in my case, I'm going to just go here, and if you click on this, it basically opens up this color picker window. And when you have this color picker window, you can actually move out anywhere in your document in Photoshop basically, and you can pick any color from here. So if I want this yellow, I can simply click here, so that'll bring us the yellow. If I want the blue, I can just simply click here, and that will bring us the blue. That is perfect. So let's go ahead and click OK here. Now you can see that our foreground color gets the blue, or the dark blue, or kind of grayish color that we wanted. Now to fill the foreground color that we have selected, we need to make sure that we are in this document, okay, and make sure that you have selected the layer that you want to fill in the color, and press Alt and Backspace. So that will fill the foreground color into the entire layer. That is perfect. Now if you want just a small selection of that layer to be filled in with the color, you need to make a selection here first of all, okay, and then I can simply paste any other color. So let's say I will change this color to yellow, hit OK, and press Alt and Backspace, so that'll fill in just in that selected area. Okay, so I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that, or I can also use my history window by going to Window and History. I can also go back from here. Okay, so let's go one more step just to get rid of that selection. Okay, now if you have older versions of Photoshop, you will have to press Ctrl Alt and Z to undo more than one time. Otherwise, if you keep on pressing Ctrl Z, it will just repeat the same last task that it did. All right, so now let's create the second layer. Okay, so this is our background layer, just the background color. So just above that, we're gonna have this yellow rectangle. It's actually a rounded rectangle which is hiding behind the white rounded rectangle. So I'm going to take my shape tool, which you will generally find with just this rectangle, and if I right click on it or press and hold, I will have more tools inside that, and we're going to pick up this rounded rectangle tool. Now we have the yellow color already selected because we have that color here. If it is not, you can just go here and pick the yellow color here. If it is not available, you can also go here and just click directly here to get that yellow color. Hit OK to finalize, and we're gonna basically draw the shape, okay? And make sure that you have stroke transparent. If you have other colors for stroke based on the thickness, you would also get the stroke created. So we don't need the stroke here, we need just the fill color. So once we select the rounded rectangle tool, we can simply go ahead and draw that shape, okay? Now notice what happens. The edges are really small, right? So what we want is we want more of a rounded edge here. Now to do that, I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that step. And if I go up here by selecting the rounded rectangle tool, because if you have the other tools, you won't have that option. Keep that in mind, okay? So if I go to my rounded rectangle tool, and then we have something called radius 10. Now, if I increase this from 10 to, let's say, 30, okay, now if I draw the same shape, you will see that we have a bigger roundness there. But let's say that's not enough, okay? So I want to have more roundness in all these corners. Now, if I change this now, you can notice that it does not get that effect. Okay, so this works only before creating the shape. So what if we want to dynamically change, or after creating the rounded rectangle, we want to change the roundness? Okay, so in that case, we can go to this properties section. Okay, so there we have all these four different values. Now by default, you can see that there's a link, because if you change one, it would change all the other three as well. So let's just increase here from 30. Let's make this 40 or 50. So let's make it 50 to see a dramatic change here, which looks good. Now, I don't want 50. I'll make it just 40. That should be fine. So now you can see that in the left side, top and bottom, I don't want to have the roundness. Basically, I'm not sure about the roundness here because it's not visible. Fine. So to get rid of these roundness, we can do a few things. Either I can just push this all the way out here, okay, so that that way I can get rid of it, but I'm gonna do it more professionally here. So I'll just delink this so that now these four sides will work independently. I'm gonna make the top to be 0, and also I'm gonna make the bottom left to be 0. So now you can see that we have sharp corners here, but we have smooth corners just in these two sides. I'm gonna just push this all the way to this left end. Okay, so that's fine. Maybe I need to push it a little bit taller here. Okay, to do that, I'm going to just go to the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow tool, and I'm gonna click and drag. Okay, so that'll just select these 4 points, not these 2 points. And I can actually use my keyboard. That is much better and smoother. Okay, so I'm going to press Shift key and just move it with my right arrow key to the distance that we want. So let's push it all the way here. And I want to make it a bit taller as well. So now I will select these ones, these 3 anchor points or control points. And I'm going to just push this all the way down here. That looks good. I think I've gone a little too far here, maybe. Yeah, perfect. So one shape done. Now all I need to do is I'll just make a duplicate of that and create the other one here. So to create a duplicate, I can either press Ctrl J as the shortcut key, or I can click and drag it over to this guy. Okay, so now we have a second copy of the same yellow. Because it's just sitting on top of that, I'm not able to see it. But if I just select my selection tool, move tool, and pull it out, you can see that we have a new one here. It's going to have the same exact arc or the roundness, so that's fine. But I want to flip it to the other side. So either I can just change this to 40 pixels and this to 40 pixels, and this one to 0 and 0. So that's just one method of getting that done. Or we could also simply press Ctrl T, right click, and choose flip horizontal. Boom. So that way also we can do that, or we can simply rotate it 90 degrees, and there are many ways to get the same job done. So you get the point. So hit OK, and we're gonna just put him exactly where we wanted. Okay, and I need to change the color, so I can either go here and choose a different color, let's say white, or I can just pick the color from many different places as well. Okay, so now I think it needs to be a bit bigger. Okay, so press Ctrl T and scale it up. I think that's fine. Hit OK. Now if you have an older version, you need to basically click and drag from the corner and press Shift key to make sure that you're scaling it proportionally. Now it actually went a little bit outside, but that's fine. Or if you're really concerned, you can push it exactly to the point that you want and adjust these points here. So that's your personal preference. Now while moving, you need to be making sure that you're using the arrow keys to move instead of just clicking and dragging. That looks perfect. So now we got the yellow border done and we have got the white one done. Next thing that I want to do is I want to create this circle. Okay, and I'll create this inner circle as well. Okay, so to do that, I'm gonna take my circle ellipse tool here, and I will change the color to yellow. Now just before changing the color to yellow, you need to make sure that you deselect this layer. Okay, otherwise what will happen is this white will again become yellow. So let's deselect everything, just click outside an empty space in the layer, and now I'm going to change this to yellow here. And now if I just click and drag, it's actually centered a little bit above this point, so I'll just click from here and drag. You see it becomes an ellipse, and if I press Shift, it will become a perfect circle, but that's not what I want. I want to start from this center, not from the corner. So for doing that, I need to press Alt key. Okay, watch what happens. So when I press Alt, it actually starts from the center instead of starting from the edge. So now let me just finalize the exact size that I want. Okay, there we go. And I think that's fine. Fine. Okay, so now I want to push this a little bit up, maybe a bit bigger. I'll press Ctrl T, make it a bit bigger. Okay, and maybe push it a little bit to the edge. In this case, it's actually going out, so maybe a little bit out is also fine. If it's not exactly moving the way you want it, you can actually use the arrow keys that will move it more precisely. Hit OK to finalize that shape. That looks perfectly fine. Now I want to make a copy of this, okay, and press Ctrl T and make it smaller. Now again, while making it smaller, I can press the Alt key to making sure that it's scaling straight to the center. Okay, so now I can just place him somewhere here, press Enter. Because they're both in the same color, you're not actually able to see the difference. So what I'll do is I'll change the second one to white. Notice I just double clicked on it to change the color. So there are many different ways to do the same job in Photoshop. So whichever you find to be comfortable, you are free to use it. Fine. So now what I want to do is I want to bring in a picture. Okay, so to bring in a picture, I'm going to basically search from the internet. I'll look for people, let's say people with mask. Okay, so let's look something with social distancing probably. Yeah, I think this looks good. Perfect. So it might not be a high resolution image, but I think that's fine. Yeah, good enough. So let's right click on that and copy image. Now notice what happens. I am not saving this file anywhere in my computer. I simply right click and choose copy image, and then I can simply paste that here, Control V. Perfect. So now I need to put this image only inside that circle. Okay, now to do this we can do it in many different ways. So either we can make a selection and then we can delete the rest, we can make a selection and create a mask, layer mask, or we can do it in the third method that I'm going to show you now. We're going to use something called clipping mask. Okay, so make sure that you have the image above the circle that we're going to create a clipping mask, and then go here just between them and press Alt and click. Boom. So what actually happened was it took this circle, the small circle, as a mask for the layer just above it. Okay, so now you will see the image only where you have some content on this layer. So if I select this guy and use my move tool and just click and drag, you see what happens? I can reposition this in any way I want, and I will always have only the content inside this shape to be visible. Okay, now if I move this guy, you see what happens? Oops. If I move this guy, I'll use my arrow key. You see what happens? If I move this ellipse, it will reveal other areas of that image. Okay, so this is how clipping mask works. Okay, if you don't understand, pause the video, rewind, and watch again. Good. So now we have a few of these graphical elements. We've got the image, and now let's move on to creating the text content. Okay, so we have a little bit of shape here, which we can actually create by using the rounded rectangle. I'm going to keep the radius to be maybe 10, I guess. Okay, so let's just draw something here, and I can just change the color and just move it over to that space. Now it's not showing because it just went inside the clipping mask, so let's just bring this out. Okay, so click and drag and drop it here. There you go. And I want to change the color to the yellow that we used earlier, and now I can simply click and drag, just put it over there. Perfect. And now I want to put some text, so let's use the text tool. Okay, so take the text tool, and this is basically going to be a headline, so I'm going to simply click. Okay, I'm going to write social distancing in the next line. Distancing. Okay, now I'll try to find a font that is looking much similar to this. This looks okay, good, but I just want to change it a bit more fancy, not fancy, formal. Yeah, I think this looks good. Okay, so it's a little bit wider as well compared to the one that we had earlier. Hit OK. Now if I'll just change the color of this, so go here, and I'll actually pick the same color from here. Now if you have a very small area, if it is difficult to pick up the exact color, you can press Control key. Okay, so that'll help you to precisely pick that color. Hit OK, so we get that same color. Now if you look closely, you will see that the space between the two lines of text is very less here. Okay, so we want to do the same thing. So to get that done, we need to select all that, go to character and paragraph options here. Okay, so we get this little window called character and paragraph, and there we can adjust something called leading. Okay, so which you will find here. So this basically adjusts the height between, or the space between, two paragraphs. Let's just push this over to here. There you go. Just reducing that value to make sure that it is touching there. Hit OK, and that's it. Perfect. And now we want to create a paragraph text. So this time, instead of just clicking with the text tool, I'm going to click and drag. Okay, a rectangle. That's it. So let's just change these values here. Let's push this back to auto, and there's huge space there. That's because of this justification. I'm going to keep this to left justification. I guess that's fine, otherwise we can change it later. So I'll just change this text size to 12, too small. 14, I think that's okay, good enough. And maybe I'll just push this to justify to both sides. We've got more content here. Anyways, that's fine. Okay, so next thing that we want to do is we want to bring create these text content. So let's just go to text tool. I'm going to write here reduce your risk of, and the text is not visible because the text is in the same color, so I'm going to go here and change that color to white. There you go. We'll change the text font once again, so let's see, something like that should be good. Yeah, it just has regular font, and I'm gonna make the size bigger, so let's say 28 should be fine, I guess. Good. And then we want to create this next text. Hit with the text tool and COVID-19, and I guess we can make COVID-20 now, or 21 as well. Anyways, I'll just make this bigger. It's actually bigger than that reduce COVID-19, so roughly 80 should be fine. All right, so I'm going to keep that right there. Okay, and for this shape, I can even take this rounded rectangle and copy that. Take a new layer, just push this all the way over here. Or if you want, you can create a new one as well. So Control T, I'm going to click and drag this. Hit OK. The roundness needs to be a bit more. I'll press Control T. I'm going to press Control plus to zoom in basically. And I want to make this smaller without making the entire width change. To do that, I need to press Shift to get the unproportional scaling there. And I want to press OK here, and we'll get back here, change this from 9 pixel. I need to change it for all of them, so I'll link that. Okay, so instead of 9, let's make it 20. I think that looks good. Okay, so let's just zoom out. Perfect. I'm going to create the text here. Call this infection. Change this text color to the same color as it is here. Press Control and click. Hit OK. And I will make the size to be smaller. Take the move tool, put them in there. Maybe I'll make the text size a bit bigger. 23, let's make it 26. Yes. Now we'll center it out by using the arrow keys. And we're done with the top. Good. So now all we need is just the logo and some social media links. Okay. So I'm gonna basically pick these guys from the internet. So let's say I'll find some COVID logo. Alright guys, so this one looks good. I'm gonna to copy this image and bring it over here. I'm not sure if it is going to bring it with transparency. It is not. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to bring this image and I will get rid of this black outside. To do that, I can actually go to my magic wand tool, just click out here, press delete. That's going to delete that. Okay, now if the edges are not looking very nice, it's actually fairly low resolution image, so it's okay, it's fine. I'm going to just click and drag, make that smaller. So I think that's fairly good size there. Press OK. Now just to have a little bit of highlight to distinguish the logo a bit better, I'm going to use apply something called layer style. Okay. To apply the layer style, I can go to effects here and hit stroke. Okay, so that is going to emphasize that. I'm going to make this stroke to be white in color. There you go. So that's our logo. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna push this a little bit to the right side, and I'm actually going to convert this into a smart object as well. So what will happen is, if I make this image smaller, it is going to maintain the existing quality. It won't lose its quality. So I can actually happily make it smaller, and I can just bring it back to the size that it had, that it was earlier. So finalize that, and then we're going to just bring in some social media links, and I will also write some contact information. So let's say we'll write www.health.com, or any other name that you like, and then change the color to white. Okay, health.com, and we will say health.com or Ministry of Health.com, or whatever you like. So I'll just save all that and justify to the right side. Okay, we have a little problem here. Okay, get rid of that, and I can also change the font. Instead of using the same font everywhere, we can just keep on changing the font. Some nice simple font. If nothing works, we can simply go for Arial font. Okay, so Arial, even this Arial doesn't look good. Okay, I think this is fine. Rounded Arial. Okay, Arial rounded font, and that's what we have finalized. I will also make the size to be, let's say 18, should be fine, I guess. And confirm that, and use the move tool just to adjust its position, or I can just keep this guy up here, and I can put the social media links below that. Okay, so let's find some social media icons. All right, so we have here, I can simply copy this, copy image, go back here, paste it. Now keep in mind, most of these images are made in PNG, so if you right click and save the image, you might get it as PNG image, which will have transparency as well. So if you're patient enough, you can actually save it as a PNG file, so that you can basically get the transparent one, so you don't have to do a lot of post work here. Okay, so press Ctrl T, make it smaller. Okay, and I'm actually going to delete these stuff. I'm going to be fine with this, just the stock ones: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Click and drag them, put them over there. Okay, now we want to get rid of this outline or the border, right? So to do that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically make a selection of this, just this content that we have, and I'm going to create a layer mask here. Okay, so I'll pick the magic wand tool. I'm going to zoom in a bit closer. I'm going to select the Facebook logo here, and I'll press Shift, select the Twitter and the Instagram. Let's try to click all of that area. Okay, because it has a gradient, it's a little difficult to select that. Now we need to select this inside area. For that, I'm going to use my lasso tool. So click and drag all the way here. Click and drag all the way here. Click and drag all the way here. Yep, that's it. Now, with the content that we want selected, let me go down here and click on this layer mask. Boom. Okay, so you can see that we actually picked up only the content that we want, and we have basically made a mask out of that. Now, it does not look very smooth here, so just before creating the mask, I'm going to apply a little feather here. So let's right click, choose feather, maybe 2 pixels, even I think 2 pixels should be fine. I'll hit the layer mask. Now you can see that it looks much better than the way it looked before. We have a nice smoothness around it, and it actually looks good as well. Except the fact that we have a little problem on the last one, because we have deleted that edge there. So if to fix that, I can simply undo all that step, and I need to actually undo a little bit longer steps. I need to go before deleting this line. Okay, maybe one more. Yes. Okay, so now I need to do that one more time with some space there. Okay, so let's just select, or I can just leave that as it is, because that is going to be hidden later. So I'll put them exactly where I want. Just go back. Okay, and now I'm going to select using my magic wand tool, select 1, 2, 3. Let me try to increase the tolerance value here. So let's say 32 is the default, so it could pick up more stuff this time. Still struggling. Okay, I'll just use another tool here, which is called quick selection tool. Let's just make this tiny little bit. Okay, so that picked up much faster. Anyways, I can do that same thing here as well if I'm not using the laser tool. Anyways, I'll right click and apply a feather, 2 pixels, and I'll repeat the same steps that I did earlier by adding a layer mask. Okay, so that gives us fine result. Okay, so I'll just push this a little bit up here. I can use the arrow keys as well. All right, so that completes the tutorial in creating the poster. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button, and share it with your friends if this can be useful for them as well. Okay, so see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.